98.9% of you are not subscribed. Enter and subscribe because of the amount of 1,000 subscribers I will post a very special video for you. The silence of the cryo chambers was deafening, an eerie tranquility that had lasted for centuries. Rows upon rows of stasis pods lined the massive underground facility, each housing a slumbering giant from an era long forgotten. The super soldiers, humanity's last line of defense, had been placed into cryogenic sleep as a desperate measure, a last resort should the need for their unparalleled might ever arise again. They were the Titans, warriors engineered to be stronger, faster, and more resilient than any ordinary human. The Galactic Empire's presence on Earth had been relatively peaceful, a tenuous coexistence marked by treaties and fragile alliances. Yet, beneath this veneer of diplomacy simmered a deep-seated animosity. The Empire's advanced technology and imposing military might were a constant reminder of humanity's subjugation. And then, the unthinkable happened. A human child was killed by an Imperial officer. The incident, though small in the grand tapestry of interstellar politics, ignited a fury that spread like wildfire through the human population. In the heart of the rebellion's secret headquarters, General Elena Dragonova stood before a panel of scientists and military strategists. Her face, lined with years of battle and loss, was set in grim determination. The room buzzed with a palpable sense of urgency. "Is everything prepared?" Elena's voice cut through the tension like a knife. Dr. Marcus Thorne, the lead scientist overseeing the Cryo project, nodded. "Yes, General. The Titans are ready for reactivation. We have run all necessary diagnostics. They will be operational within the hour." Elena's gaze swept over the faces in the room, each one reflecting the gravity of the situation. "Good. We cannot afford any mistakes. The Empire has gone too far this time. The killing of that child was the last straw. We will show them that humanity is not to be trifled with." As the scientists moved to their stations, initiating the complex procedures required to revive the Titans, Elena's mind drifted back to the last time these super soldiers had been deployed. It was during the final days of the Great War, a conflict that had nearly annihilated humanity. The Titans had been instrumental in turning the tide, their extraordinary abilities a beacon of hope in humanity's darkest hour. But the cost had been high, and it was decided that they would be put into stasis, a safeguard for future generations. The process of reawakening the Titans was a marvel of bioengineering and advanced technology. The cryo chambers hummed to life, their sophisticated systems methodically reversing the effects of centuries-long stasis. Slowly, the frost-covered glass of the pods began to clear, revealing the imposing figures within. The first to awaken was Captain Alexander Kane, the leader of the Titans. His eyes snapped open, a flash of intense blue in the dim light of the chamber. He inhaled sharply, his mind instantly assessing his surroundings. The memories of his last mission flooded back, a visceral reminder of battles fought and comrades lost. Elena approached his pod, her expression a mix of relief and resolve. "Welcome back, Captain Kane. We need you now more than ever." Kane's gaze locked onto hers, understanding the unspoken weight of her words. He stepped out of the pod, his movements fluid and precise despite the long sleep. "What's the situation, General?" Elena briefed him swiftly, her words painting a stark picture of the current state of affairs. The Empire's oppression, the growing resistance, and the recent atrocity that had sparked this desperate measure. Kane listened intently, his mind already formulating strategies and tactics. "We will not let the sacrifice of that child be in vain," he said, his voice a low growl of determination. "The Empire has awakened the Titans, and they will regret it." As more Titans emerged from their cryo chambers, the facility buzzed with activity. The super soldiers were given updated briefings, their equipment and weaponry meticulously checked and prepared. Each one of them was a living weapon, a testament to humanity's ingenuity and resilience. The underground base, hidden deep beneath a mountain range, was a fortress of advanced technology and military might. It was here that the Resistance had gathered its most vital resources, a bastion against the Empire's relentless expansion. As the Titans integrated with the current forces, the plan for their first mission began to take shape. Elena and Kane stood before a massive hollow map, the Empire's installations and troop movements highlighted in stark red. "Our primary objective is to strike a blow that will cripple their operations on Earth," Elena explained. "We need to disrupt their supply lines, take out key targets, and rally more support for the resistance." Kane nodded, his eyes scanning the map with a strategist's precision. "We'll need to hit them hard and fast. Use our abilities to create chaos and confusion. The element of surprise will be our greatest asset." The plan was set in motion with military precision. The Titans, equipped with state-of-the-art armor and weaponry, moved out under the cover of night. Their first target was an Imperial outpost on the outskirts of a major city, a strategic location that controlled vital supply routes. As they approached the outpost, Kane signaled for a halt. He surveyed the area, noting the guards and surveillance systems. With a series of hand signals, he directed his team into position. They moved with the silent efficiency of predators, their enhanced senses and reflexes making them nearly invisible in the darkness. The attack was swift and brutal. The Titans struck with overwhelming force, their augmented strength and speed rendering the Imperial soldiers helpless. Explosions rocked the outpost, the sound of gunfire and screams filling the air. Within minutes, the facility was in flames, its defenders either dead or fleeing. Kane stood amidst the wreckage, his face illuminated by the flickering firelight. He activated his comms, signaling back to base. "Objective achieved, General. The outpost is neutralized." Elena's voice crackled through the earpiece. "Well done, Captain. Prepare for extraction. We're already seeing the impact of your strike. The Empire is scrambling to respond." As the Titans regrouped, their success was a beacon of hope for the Resistance. The message was clear. Humanity would not bow to the Empire's tyranny. The Titans had returned, and with them, the promise of liberation. In the days that followed, the Resistance mounted a series of coordinated attacks, each one dealing a significant blow to the Empire's operations. The Titans led the charge, their presence a rallying cry for freedom fighters across the globe. Their legend grew with each victory, a testament to their indomitable spirit and unmatched prowess. Yet even as they celebrated their successes, the shadow of the Empire loomed large. The war was far from over, and the Titans knew that their greatest challenges lay ahead. They had been awakened to protect humanity, to fight for a future free from oppression, and they would stop at nothing to achieve that goal. As the Resistance regrouped and prepared for the next phase of their campaign, Elena and Kane stood side by side, their resolve unwavering. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but they faced it with the courage and determination that had defined their lives. The sun was beginning to rise, casting long shadows over the smoldering remains of the Imperial outpost. Captain Alexander Kane and his team of Titans stood in the aftermath of their swift and devastating attack, their expressions a mix of grim satisfaction and steely determination. As the extraction team arrived to transport them back to the underground base, Kane couldn't help but think about the battles that lay ahead. Back at the Resistance headquarters, the mood was cautiously optimistic. General Elena Dragonova and her strategists pored over the latest intelligence reports, analyzing the impact of the Titans' initial strike. The Empire's response had been swift, mobilizing reinforcements and tightening security around their key installations. Yet the damage had been done, and the Resistance had gained a much-needed morale boost. Elena convened a meeting in the command center, a high-tech hub filled with holographic displays and communication consoles. "Ladies and gentlemen, the success of our first mission has sent a clear message to the Empire," she began, her voice resolute. "But we cannot rest on our laurels. The enemy is regrouping, and we must stay one step ahead." Dr. Marcus Thorne, the lead scientist responsible for the Titans' cryogenic preservation and reawakening, stepped forward. "We've analyzed the data from the field and made some adjustments to the Titans' equipment and armor. They performed admirably, but we can always improve." Kane, standing at the back of the room with his fellow Titans, listened intently. He admired Thorne's dedication to their cause. The scientist had been instrumental in ensuring the Titans' survival and effectiveness, and his innovations had saved countless lives. Elena continued, Our next target is a high-security facility in the heart of the Empire's territory. It's a research and development center where they are working on advanced weapons and defense systems. If we can disrupt their operations there, it will set them back significantly." Kane nodded, already planning the assault in his mind. "We'll need to be even more precise this time. The facility will be heavily guarded, and the element of surprise is crucial. We'll gather intelligence on their defenses and find a way to infiltrate without alerting them." Over the next few days, the Resistance's intelligence operatives worked tirelessly to gather information about the R&D facility. They hacked into Imperial networks, intercepted communications, and even sent in undercover agents. The picture that emerged was daunting. The facility was a fortress, bristling with security measures and elite troops. Elena and her team devised a multi-pronged strategy. The Titans would lead the main assault, but they would be supported by a network of resistance cells operating within the Empire's territory. These cells would create diversions, sabotage infrastructure, and gather real-time intelligence during the mission. The night before the mission, Kane and his team gathered in the armory. The atmosphere was tense but focused. Each Titan was a seasoned warrior, trained to face the most formidable opponents. But the stakes had never been higher. Sergeant Maria Cortez, Kane's second in command, checked her weapons with meticulous care. "This is it, Alex. The Empire won't know what hit them." Kane nodded, his expression grim. "We've trained for this. We've fought for this. Now we show them what humanity is capable of." As they prepared, Kane couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them here. The Titans had been created as a last-ditch effort to save humanity from extinction, a project born out of desperation and hope. Now, they were humanity's best chance at reclaiming their freedom. The infiltration of the R&D facility began under the cover of darkness. The Titans moved with the silent precision of shadows, their advanced suits rendering them nearly invisible to the naked eye. They bypassed patrols and security checkpoints with ease, using their enhanced senses and reflexes to stay one step ahead of the enemy. As they approached the facility's outer perimeter, Kane signaled for his team to halt. He studied the layout, noting the patrol patterns and security cameras. "We need to disable the main power grid," he whispered. "It will give us the window we need to get inside." Cortez nodded, pulling out a compact EMP device. "I've got it covered. Give me 5 minutes." While Cortez set up the device, Kane and the rest of the team kept watch. The minutes ticked by with agonizing slowness, but finally the EMP activated, and the facility's lights flickered and went out. In the ensuing chaos, the Titans moved swiftly, breaching the perimeter and making their way inside. The interior of the facility was a maze of corridors and laboratories, filled with cutting-edge technology, and guarded by some of the Empire's best troops. The Titans fought their way through, their enhanced abilities giving them a decisive edge. They encountered fierce resistance, but their training and teamwork saw them through. As they reached the central laboratory, Kane's attention was drawn to a massive chamber at the heart of the facility. Inside, scientists were working on a weapon that looked like something out of a nightmare, a towering mech, bristling with advanced weaponry and armor. "That's their new toy," Kane muttered. "We can't let them finish it." The Titans moved to destroy the mech, planting explosives and disabling key components. The scientists fled in panic, and the alarm system blared as Imperial reinforcements converged on the chamber. Kane and his team fought with relentless determination, their objective clear. Just as they were about to detonate the explosives, the chamber's doors burst open, and a squad of elite Imperial soldiers stormed in. Leading them was a figure Kane recognized all too well. General Lucius Voss, one of the Empire's most ruthless commanders. Voss sneered at the sight of the Titans. "So the legendary super soldiers have finally come out of hiding. Too bad you'll die here tonight." Kane stepped forward, his expression hard. "Not if we have anything to say about it." The battle that ensued was brutal and intense. The Titans faced their most formidable opponents yet, but their training and enhancements gave them the upper hand. Kane engaged Voss in a fierce duel, their blows shaking the very foundations of the chamber. Despite Voss's formidable skills, Kane's determination and superior strength eventually prevailed. He disarmed the Imperial commander and delivered a crushing blow, knocking him unconscious. With the reinforcements neutralized, the Titans completed their mission, setting off the explosives and destroying the mech prototype. As they made their escape, the facility erupted in flames, a testament to the Resistance's resolve and the Titans' prowess. The mission had been a success, but the war was far from over. The Empire would not take this defeat lightly, and the Titans knew that their greatest challenges lay ahead. Back at the underground base, Elena and her team received the news with a mixture of relief and determination. "This is just the beginning," she said, her eyes burning with resolve. "The Empire will retaliate, but we will be ready. The Titans have shown us what is possible, and together, we will fight for our freedom." Kane and his team returned to the base, weary but triumphant. They had struck a significant blow against the Empire, but they knew that the road ahead would be long and perilous. The Titans had been awakened to protect humanity, and they would stop at nothing to achieve that goal. As the Resistance regrouped and planned their next move, the Titans prepared for the battles to come. They were humanity's last hope, and they would face the Empire's wrath with courage and determination. The war for Earth's freedom had only just begun, and the Titans were ready to lead the charge. The Resistance base buzzed with activity as word of the Titans' successful strike spread. The operation had not only crippled a vital Imperial research facility, but it also reignited hope among the scattered cells of the rebellion. Across the globe, whispers of the Titans' return inspired renewed vigor in those who had long felt the crushing weight of the Empire's oppression. General Elena Dragonova stood at the heart of the command center, surveying the holographic map of Earth. Red markers indicated Imperial strongholds, while green represented pockets of resistance. With each successful mission, more green lights flickered into existence, a testament to the growing strength of their movement. "General," called out Lieutenant Sarah Holt, a young but capable officer who had proven herself indispensable to the cause. "We've received messages from several resistance cells requesting assistance. They want to join forces with us, but they're facing heavy Imperial pressure." Elena nodded, her mind already formulating a plan. "We need to consolidate our forces. The Empire's grip is tightening, and we can't afford to fight this war in isolated pockets. Begin coordinating with the cells. We'll provide support where we can and bring as many as possible into the fold." Kane entered the room, his presence a comforting constant amid the chaos. "What's our next move, General?" "We're going to stage a series of coordinated strikes," Elena replied. "We need to relieve the pressure on our allies and disrupt the Empire's ability to respond effectively. I want you and the Titans to lead a mission to liberate one of the larger resistance cells in the eastern sector. They've been holding out, but their situation is becoming desperate." Kane nodded, his blue eyes reflecting the steel of his resolve. "Consider it done. We'll get them out." Meanwhile, in the far reaches of the Empire's territory, whispers of discontent were beginning to spread. The Titans' resurgence had emboldened not just the resistance on Earth, but also those within the Empire who had grown weary of its tyranny. In the sprawling metropolis of Nevos, the Empire's capital on a distant planet, a small group of dissidents met in secret. Leora Voss, the daughter of General Lucius Voss, was among them. Though she bore the name of one of the Empire's most feared commanders, her heart burned with a desire for justice and freedom. She had seen firsthand the cruelty of the regime and had resolved to fight against it from within. "We can't ignore what's happening on Earth," Leora said, her voice low but filled with intensity. "The Titan's return has shown us that the Empire is not invincible. We must seize this moment to strike a blow from within." Her comrades, a mix of disillusioned soldiers, scientists, and civilians, nodded in agreement. "We have assets here," said Dr. Anya Raska, a former Imperial scientist who had turned against her masters. "We can provide intelligence, sabotage key installations, and gather support, but we'll need a way to coordinate with the resistance on Earth." Leora's eyes sparkled with determination. "Leave that to me. I have contacts who can establish a secure line of communication. We'll synchronize our efforts with theirs and make sure that when we strike hard." Back on Earth, the Titans prepared for their next mission. Kane, Cortez, and the rest of the team gathered in the briefing room. where detailed plans and reconnaissance data were laid out before them. Their target was a heavily fortified Imperial outpost that had been besieging a major resistance cell for months. The outpost is situated on a plateau, giving them a strategic advantage, Kane explained, pointing to the holographic map. But we've identified weak points in their defenses. We'll need to approach under the cover of darkness, disable their perimeter sensors, and neutralize their heavy artillery before launching a full assault. Cortez, ever the pragmatist, chimed in. We'll also need to ensure that the resistance fighters inside the city are ready to move as soon as we give the signal. Coordination will be key. The plan was set into motion with military precision. As night fell, the Titans moved out, their advanced suits and equipment rendering them nearly invisible to the naked eye. They traversed treacherous terrain, scaling the rocky cliffs that surrounded the plateau with ease. At the perimeter of the outpost, Kane signaled for his team to halt. He observed the guards' movements, noting the patterns in their patrols. With a silent gesture, he directed Cortez to disable the sensors, while the rest of the team positioned themselves for the assault. Cortez moved with the grace and precision of a cat, her movements fluid and silent. She reached the sensor array and quickly set to work, bypassing the security protocols and shutting down the system. With the perimeter now vulnerable, the Titans advanced, taking out guards with swift, lethal efficiency. Inside the outpost, the Imperials were caught off guard by the sudden assault. The Titans moved through the compound like a storm, their enhanced abilities giving them a decisive edge. They targeted key infrastructure, planting charges and disabling communications. Kane and his team reached the main command center, where the outpost's commander was frantically trying to rally his troops. "It's over," Kane declared, leveling his weapon at the man. "Surrender and your lives will be spared." The commander, a grizzled veteran of many campaigns, glared at Kane with a mixture of fear and defiance. "You may have taken this outpost, but the Empire will never fall to the likes of you." Kane's expression hardened. "We'll see about that." With the outpost secured, the Titans signaled the resistance fighters in the besieged city. The gates were thrown open, and a flood of civilians and fighters poured out, their faces alight with hope and determination. The liberation of the city was a significant victory, one that would inspire others to rise up and join the fight. As the dust settled, Kane stood on the ramparts looking out over the liberated city. The stars twinkled overhead, a reminder of the vast universe beyond and the battles yet to be fought. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly to himself. "The Empire thinks it can crush us, but we've only just begun to fight." In the days that followed, the resistance consolidated its gains, fortifying the liberated territories and integrating new recruits into their ranks. The Titans continued to lead the charge, their presence a symbol of hope and defiance. Meanwhile, in Nevos, Leora Voss and her dissidents worked tirelessly to coordinate their efforts with the resistance on Earth. Through a network of clandestine contacts and encrypted communications, they shared intelligence and resources, laying the groundwork for a coordinated uprising. Leora's resolve was unwavering. She knew that the road ahead would be long and fraught with danger, but she was determined to see it through. The Titans had shown her that even the mightiest empire could be challenged, and she was ready to play her part in the fight for freedom. As the resistance grew stronger, the Empire's grip began to loosen. The seeds of rebellion had been planted, and they were beginning to take root. The Titans, with their unmatched skills and unbreakable spirit, stood at the forefront of this struggle, ready to lead humanity to victory. The war for Earth's freedom was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, there was hope. The Titans had returned, and with them, the promise of a brighter future. The fight would be long and arduous, but they would not rest until the Empire was brought to its knees, and humanity was free once more. The Resistance's recent victories had emboldened their cause, but General Elena Dragonova knew that the Empire would not take these losses lightly. In the heart of the underground base, plans were being laid for the next series of operations. The command center, a hive of activity, was abuzz with the latest intelligence reports and strategic discussions. Elena stood at the central holo table, flanked by her top advisors. The holographic map displayed the Empire's strongholds, supply lines, and troop movements. "The Empire will strike back soon," she said, her voice steely. "We need to anticipate their next move and be ready to counter it." Lieutenant Sarah Holt, ever the diligent officer, presented the latest intel. "We've intercepted communications indicating that the Empire is planning a major offensive. They're consolidating forces in the northern territories, likely preparing to crush the resistance cells there." Elena nodded thoughtfully. "We need to disrupt their plans. If we can force them to spread their forces thin, we'll have a better chance of holding our ground and even pushing them back." Kane, who had been silently observing, stepped forward. "I suggest a series of hit-and-run tactics to keep them off balance. We can target their supply depots and communication hubs. It will force them to divert resources to defend their logistics." "Agreed," Elena said. "We'll need to coordinate closely with our allies and ensure our intelligence is up to date. Kane, your team will lead the assault on the northern supply lines. We'll also need to prepare our defenses here and bolster the resistance cells in those regions." As the meeting adjourned, Kane gathered his team for a briefing. The Titans had become a close-knit unit, their bond forged through countless battles. Each member brought unique skills to the table, and together, they were a formidable force. "Listen up," Kane began, addressing his team. "Our mission is to disrupt the Empire's supply lines in the north. We'll be striking several key depots and communication hubs. We need to move fast and hit hard. Cortez, you'll be in charge of demolitions. Larson, you handle reconnaissance. The rest of you, be ready for anything." The Titans moved with practiced efficiency, preparing their gear and reviewing the mission plans. They knew the risks, but their resolve was unshakable. They were fighting for their home, their future, and the future of humanity. Meanwhile, on the distant planet Nevos, Leora Voss was deep in her own preparations. She had established a secure line of communication with the resistance on Earth, coordinating efforts to strike at the heart of the Empire. The dissident group she led had grown, bolstered by new recruits who had grown tired of the Empire's tyranny. Leora's latest intelligence indicated that the Empire was working on a new type of weapon, a devastating device that could turn the tide of the war in their favor. It was being developed in a hidden facility on Nevos, guarded by the Empire's elite forces. Gathering her team, Leora laid out the plan. "We have a chance to deal a significant blow to the Empire. They're developing a new weapon here on Nevos. If we can destroy it before it's operational, we can buy the Resistance more time and force the Empire to rethink their strategy." Dr. Anya Raske, the former Imperial scientist, spoke up. "I've managed to get the schematics for the facility. It's heavily fortified, but there are weaknesses we can exploit. We'll need to move quickly and decisively." The team prepared for the mission, knowing the dangers that awaited them. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but their determination gave them strength. As they moved out, Leora couldn't help but think of her father, General Lucius Voss, and the path that had led her to this moment. She was determined to fight for what was right, no matter the cost. Back on Earth, the Titans began their assault on the Empire's northern supply lines. They struck with precision, their attacks swift and devastating. Supply depots erupted in flames, communication hubs fell silent, and the Empire's forces scrambled to respond. The resistance fighters in the northern territories took advantage of the chaos, launching their own attacks and pushing back against the Imperial forces. The tide of battle was shifting, and for the first time in a long while, the people felt a glimmer of hope. Kane and his team pushed deeper into enemy territory, their path marked by the wreckage of Imperial infrastructure. They faced fierce resistance, but their superior training and enhancements saw them through. Each victory was a step closer to freeing their world from the Empire's grasp. In the midst of the fighting, Kane received a transmission from Elena. "Kane, we have reports of a high-value target in your vicinity. It's an Imperial general overseeing the operations in the north. If you can capture or eliminate him, it would deal a significant blow to their command structure." Kane acknowledged the order and adjusted their course. The general's location was a heavily guarded command center, but the Titans had faced worse odds before. They approached the facility under the cover of darkness, using their advanced suits to evade detection. The battle inside the command center was intense. The Titans moved with lethal precision, cutting down Imperial soldiers and securing key positions. They found the general in a fortified office, surrounded by his elite guard. Kane confronted the general, his voice cold. "Your reign of terror ends here." The general, a seasoned veteran, sneered. "You think you can stop the Empire? You're nothing but a minor nuisance." Kane's response was swift and final. The general fell, and with his death, the command structure in the north was thrown into disarray. The resistance fighters, emboldened by the news, pressed their advantage, driving the Imperial forces into retreat. Meanwhile, on Nevos, Leora and her team infiltrated the weapons facility. The security was tight, but they moved with the stealth and precision of seasoned operatives. They planted explosives and sabotaged critical systems, working quickly to avoid detection. As they reached the heart of the facility, they found the weapon. A massive, menacing device capable of untold destruction. Leora set the charges, her heart pounding. They had come too far to fail now. Just as they were about to leave, alarms blared. The Empire's forces were closing in, and a firefight erupted. Leora and her team fought desperately, their survival hanging by a thread. The charges detonated, and the facility was engulfed in a massive explosion. The weapon was destroyed, but the cost was high. Leora and the surviving members of her team escaped into the night, their mission a success. The loss of the weapon would be a significant setback for the Empire, and the dissidents on Nevos would continue to fight from the shadows. Back on Earth, the Resistance celebrated their victories, but they knew the war was far from over. The Empire would regroup and retaliate, but the seeds of rebellion had been sown. The Titans, with their unmatched skills and unbreakable spirit, stood ready to lead the fight. General Elena Dragonova addressed the gathered Resistance fighters, her voice filled with pride and determination. "We've shown the Empire that we will not be cowed. We've struck a blow for freedom, but the road ahead is long. We must remain vigilant, united and strong. The Titans have given us hope, and with that hope, we will reclaim our world." Kane and his team stood at the forefront, their resolve unshaken. They had faced the Empire's might and emerged victorious. The war for Earth's freedom was far from over, but with each battle they drew closer to their ultimate goal. The Titans had returned, and with them, the promise of a brighter future. As the stars twinkled overhead, a new chapter in humanity's struggle for freedom was being written. The Titans, the Resistance, and the countless brave souls fighting against the Empire were united in their cause. They would not rest until the chains of oppression were broken and humanity was free once more. The air was thick with anticipation as the Resistance prepared for what would be their most daring and decisive operation yet. Intelligence from Leora Voss on Nevos had confirmed that the Empire was planning a massive counteroffensive, consolidating their forces for a final push to crush the rebellion on Earth. General Elena Dragonova knew that this was the moment they had been preparing for, the final stand. In the underground command center, the atmosphere was electric. Holographic maps displayed the Empire's troop movements, highlighting key locations where the Resistance would make their stand. Elena stood at the center, her gaze focused and determined. "We have one chance to break the Empire's hold on Earth," she said, addressing the assembled leaders of the Resistance and the Titans. "Their main force is massing in the Central Plains. If we can draw them into a trap and hit them with everything we have, we can turn the tide of this war." Kane, standing beside her, nodded. "We'll need to coordinate with every Resistance cell, use every resource at our disposal. This is an all-or-nothing operation." Elena agreed. "Kane, you and the Titans will lead the charge. Your objective is to take out their command center and disrupt their communications. Without leadership, their forces will be in disarray." As the meeting broke up, Kane gathered his team for a final briefing. The Titans were ready, their expressions grim but resolute. They had been through countless battles together, and they knew that this one would be the most critical of all. "Listen up," Kane began, his voice steady. "This is it. The Empire is throwing everything they have at us. But we're ready. We're going to hit them hard and fast, take out their command structure and give our people the chance to push them back once and for all. Cortez checked her weapons one last time. We've got this, Alex. We've faced worse odds before. The Titans moved out, joining the larger force of resistance fighters gathering on the plains. The night before the battle, fires burned in a vast encampment, casting flickering shadows over the determined faces of the fighters. Kane walked among them, offering words of encouragement and drawing strength from their unwavering resolve. As dawn broke, the resistance forces took their positions. They had chosen the site carefully, a narrow valley that would funnel the Empire's forces into a confined space, making them vulnerable to ambushes from the surrounding hills. The plan was simple but audacious. Lure the Empire into the valley, then unleash a coordinated assault that would leave them reeling. The first signs of the Empire's approach came as a distant rumble, growing louder with each passing moment. The ground shook as the massive Imperial war machines advanced, flanked by ranks of soldiers in gleaming armor. The resistance held their breath, waiting for the right moment to strike. When the leading edge of the Imperial force entered the valley, Elena gave the signal. Explosions erupted along the ridges, sending rock and debris cascading down onto the unsuspecting troops below. The Titans, positioned on the high ground, unleashed a devastating barrage of firepower, targeting the command vehicles and key infrastructure. Kane led his team down into the fray, their enhanced abilities giving them a fearsome edge in the chaotic battle. They moved like shadows, striking with lethal precision and then disappearing into the smoke and dust. The Imperial troops, caught off guard by the ferocity of the Resistance's attack, struggled to maintain their cohesion. The battle raged for hours, the valley a maelstrom of fire and steel. The Titans fought with relentless determination, pushing deeper into the heart of the Imperial force. Kane's objective was clear. The command center, a heavily fortified structure at the center of the enemy formation. As they closed in on their target, the Resistance fighters surged forward, taking advantage of the confusion sown by the Titans' assault. The Imperial lines began to falter, their disciplined ranks breaking under the onslaught. In the command center, panic spread as communications were cut and orders became garbled. Kane and his team breached the command center, their path marked by the bodies of fallen enemies. Inside, they found the Imperial officers in disarray, desperately trying to coordinate their forces. Kane's eyes locked onto the commanding officer, a man who epitomized the cold arrogance of the Empire. "It's over," Kane said, his voice cold and unwavering. "Surrender now, and maybe your men will live." The officer sneered, reaching for his weapon, but Kane was faster. A single, well-placed shot ended the standoff, and with it, the last vestiges of organized resistance within the command center. The Titans moved quickly, securing the facility and broadcasting a message to the Imperial troops. Their command was broken, their cause lost. Outside, the tide of battle had shifted decisively. The resistance forces, buoyed by the success of the Titans' strike, pressed their advantage. Imperial soldiers began to surrender en masse, their will to fight broken by the loss of their leadership. As the sun set over the battlefield, the resistance stood victorious. The Empire's forces were in full retreat, their dreams of crushing the rebellion shattered. Elena and Kane surveyed the scene, their hearts filled with a mix of triumph and sorrow for the lives lost in the struggle. In the days that followed, the resistance moved swiftly to consolidate their gains. They liberated occupied territories, established provisional governments, and began the long process of rebuilding. The Titans, hailed as heroes, continued to lend their strength and expertise to the cause, helping to secure the hard-won peace. On Nevos, Leora Voss and her dissidents received word of the victory on Earth. The news spread like wildfire, igniting hope and sparking uprisings across the Empire's territories. The seeds of rebellion, planted in the hearts of the oppressed, began to blossom into a movement that would eventually bring down the tyrannical regime. Back on Earth, in the heart of the liberated capital, a massive celebration was held. People from all walks of life gathered to honor the sacrifices and achievements of the resistance. Elena stood before the crowd, her voice carrying the weight of their collective struggle and triumph. "We have shown the Empire that humanity will not be enslaved," she declared. "We have fought for our freedom and we have won. But our work is not over. We must remain vigilant, united, and committed to building a future where no one lives in fear of oppression." Cain and the Titans stood at the forefront, their presence a symbol of hope and resilience. They had been awakened to protect humanity, and they had fulfilled that mission with unwavering dedication. As the crowd cheered, Cain felt a deep sense of pride and purpose. The war was over, but the journey had just begun. The resistance would now turn their efforts to rebuilding and healing the wounds of conflict. The Titans, their legend secured, would continue to serve as guardians of peace and justice, ensuring that the sacrifices made were not in vain. As the stars twinkled overhead, a new era dawned for humanity. The Titans had led them through the darkest of times, and now, together, they would forge a future defined by freedom and hope. The final stand had been made, and the victory was theirs. The Empire had been defeated, and humanity stood united, ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring.